So in the last class, we discussed about the misconception in the software testing. Uh, so the testing is too expensive. So it is one of the misconception. If you follow the proper standard process and if you do the early testing, then testing is not expensive. Then we discussed about testing is a time-consuming process. So if you follow the SDLC pages, testing is never a time-consuming process. Then only fully developed products are tested. So it is no doubt the testing it is depend upon the source code, but in the different phases we are doing the verification, validation, and all. So we are testing the modules also, and complete testing is possible. Complete testing is possible. It is also one of the misconception that a client or the tester thinks that complete testing is possible, but in some scenarios uh, it may be fail, and a tested software is a bug free. We can't say a tested software is 100% bug free or error free. Then the missed defects are due to the testers. We say the missed defects are due to the testers, so the time, cost, and requirement changing, but it is not due to the tester. It is related to, it depend upon the applications. Then testers are responsible quality of the product. So tester is not only the responsible, the whole teams, the development team, project manager, everyone is responsible for the one who is working in the that particular project. So the tester is not only the responsible, whole team is responsible for the quality of the product. Test automation should be used wherever the it is possible to reduce the time. Yes, it is true that wherever it is possible, we should go for the automation tool, and anyone can test the software application. So it is one of the wrong thing, because we need to test the in different scenarios, positive and negative conditions. So the anyone can test the software. It is one of the misconception, and a tester only task is to find the bugs, but some domain experts, so they will find the and fix the bugs. So these are the some misconceptions that we discussed in the last class. So those who are joined late, you just provide your roll number, first name, and last name in the chat box. Uh, so the most of the people that confused with the terms like quality assurance, quality control, and testing. So the quality assurance, quality control, and testing. Can anyone tell what is the difference between quality assurance, quality control? Yes, Mayuri Agade, roll number 23. Roll number 23. Can you hear me? Yes, Mayuri Agade, roll number 23. Can you hear me? Okay. So the quality assurance. So the quality assurance means it includes the activities that ensure the implementation of the process, procedure, and standards in context to the verification of the developed software. Means we are while for testing the software development, any software product, we are followed a standard processes, standard procedure, and standards in the context of verification of the developed software. and their requirements. So quality assurance means it includes the activity that ensures the implementation of processes, implementation of the processes, procedures, and standards. So assurance, quality assurance. Quality control means it includes the activities that ensure the verification of developed software with respect to the documentation. Means it's like a controlling means as per the document or as per the plan whether we have covered all the testing of the software or not. So you have to ensure the verification of the developed software with respect to the documentation. Not in some cases, but we need to monitor. We need to monitor the flow of testing, how we are testing the each module. So that is a quality control activity. Okay. So we need to do some cross check. We need to ensure the verification of developed software with respect to the documentation. Then testing it includes the activities that ensures the identification of bugs, errors, defects in the software. So quality assurance means we are assuring that the product is quality. How? Because we are following some standard processes, some standard procedures, some standards. So that is a because when we buy some any products, we go for the some brand products. So brand means what? It is about the ISI. It is ISI standard. Like normally when we purchase any project, any products, so ISI standards. Like so software products also the companies they follow the standard processes to test the software. They follow some procedures, well qualified team. So that is a quality assurance. Quality assurance. Then let us discuss the approaches. What are the different approaches to the testing? So the approach to testing that may differ significantly as per the customer requirements or the type of the system being developed, as well as the management thinking about the software development lifecycle. So the approach to the software testing is different. It means it is vary or it is differ. It depend upon the customer requirement. As the customer requirement changes, means we need to follow the different testing strategy and the type of the system is developed and management thinking how they think to save the cost and all. So it is depend upon management thinking also. So there are different ways, different approaches are there to test the software. So the type of project, the type of customer, and the maturity development team. So these are the all parameters that we consider for the approaches to the testings. Okay, it is small project, medium project, large complex project. So for each the different category of the project, the testing approach is different. Okay, the type of project, type of the customer. Suppose if the banking software, so banking software, uh, because it includes all the user details and financial transactions. So the testing is the approach is different in the banking domain. The banking domain of banking software, the testing approach is different. And suppose if there is a hotel booking or hotel management, that particular application, the testing study is different because there is no the security is not required. But here, in the banking, security is very important for as many people they do the transaction and all. So we need to go for the different approaches for the different application. It is depend upon the project, it is depend upon the customer, the end users, those who are using the software. Okay, so the approaches are different for different applications. So there is one approach that is called as the big bang approach of the testing. The big bang approach of testing that involves testing the software system after the development work is completed. After the complete development work is completed, once we complete the development work and we go for the testing. So it is also termed as the system testing or final testing to be done before releasing the software to the customer for acceptance testing. So big bang approach. So this is one of the type of testing that we are doing at the end of the software, or the after completion of the development process, or before releasing the software to the customer. So Big Bang approach has the main thrust on black box testing of the software to ensure that the requirements as defined and documented in the requirement specification and design specification are met successfully. So this Big Bang approach of testing, it uses the black box testing approach. Black box testing approach means uh, as we mainly look it on the input and output. Suppose if we provide the username and password, the correct username and password, then we are logging into the that particular application, and we are accessing the features. So we are input and output. We are not bothering about the internal logic, how they developed the software and all. Okay. After the development, the product is ready, and the user is providing his he's logging and he's providing his input, and just cross check with the requirements as defined and documented in the requirement specification. So the test cases, he is comparing the test cases. So testing done at the end of the development life cycle that may show the defects pertaining to any phase of the development, because we are doing the testing at the last phase, so that defects or the errors, bugs that pertaining to any phase of the development, such as maybe it is a requirement error, or the requirement defects, or it may be the design defects or coding defect. So so roughly saying the phase wise defect, the origination that follows. So this is the table, the phase wise, the effect distribution. This is the phase wise defect distribution. In the requirement phase, there are more number of the defects may arise in the requirement phase, and in the design phase, the compared to the less 35%. Then coding phase, then the other at the maintenance or at the customer side 2% error. So uh, as why? Because we are doing the testing at the last phase. Earlier, this is a requirement phase, designing, coding, and testing at means before releasing deployment. Before deployment, we are doing the testing at the last phase. So this is the phase where we are doing the testing process. So it's a big bang approach. This is one of the type of approach, and so in this case, we are doing the testing at the last phase means the error may arise in the requirement phase, maybe in the design phase, coding phase, any other. So this is the effect, means the defects that arises. So what happens at the end? It takes more time. The cost may increase because we need to again make changes in the all the different modules. So this is the phase wise defect distribution. So what is this approach? Means if we do the testing at the last, if we do the testing at the uh, after completion of the development phase, then the defect may arise in the requirement phase, or maybe in the design phase, coding phase, okay, or any other phase. So this is the defect distribution, and you know the if the defects that arises in the requirement means we are already completed all this designing, coding, and all, and see here around 60% of the defects are in the requirements. So again, you need to modify the designing, coding. So it consumes a lot of effort, the time, cost. So total quality management approach. The total quality management approach, if if there is a process definition, if there is a process definition means if there is a standard process to test the software, and these processes are optimized and capable, and no defects are produced, and no undetected defects are left in the software when it is delivered to the cost customer. So this is one more approach, quality management approach. So big bang approach means what? So we are doing the testing at the last phase, and there are some defects that arises in the early phases like requirement, design, coding, and other phases. In the early phases, we will get more number of defects. So that is a big bang approach. So this is one more approach, total quality management approach. Total quality management approach for the software testing. So, so in this approach, what happens? We are followed a standard process to test the software, and there are no defects. There are no defects are produced. There are standard process means like we do the early testing, and every module we do the testing, and after the integration of the module also we do the testing. So we followed some standard processes, and there is a well qualified team, well trained team. So if the defect, there are no defects are produced, and undetected defects are left in the software when it is delivered to the customers. Only few undetected, even though we are following the standard process, but there are maybe some of the defects they are undetected. The errors, the defect they are detect at the customer side. There are no or few undetected defects are left in the software when it is delivered to the customer. So total quality management approach means what? So here we are following a standard process to test the software. The defect removal costs are approximately the 10 times more after the coding than before the coding. Suppose here you can see in the diagram. So here we can call it as a total quality management cost triangle. If the errors, if the defects are arised in the initial stage 0, then the cost will be 0, because there is no defects, no cost. We are not reworking on the project. In the stage 1, suppose if the defects are arised, and to fix those errors, then the cost is the 10 times the cost increases. And in the stage 2, to fix those errors, in the stage 2, to fix the errors, the cost will be 100 times. And in the stage 3, to fix those defects, the cost may increase to 1000 times. So that's why we need to find the defects as early as possible in the early stages. In the early stages, we need to find the defects in the early stages. So what happens? The cost will be more, cost will be less, and it is profit to the organization. It is profit to the organization because they are not spending more time and more money. So here, if the defects are arised in the different stages, what happens? The the company has to again assign the resources, so the cost increases. The cost of project increases. So the defect removal cost, the defect removal cost are approximately the 10 times more after the coding. 10 times more after coding. So if you do the early stages, then there is a free of means you are not spending any money. But you are if you do the testing after the coding, then the cost will increase 10 times. 10 times means you have to pay more money and time before the coding. The cost associated with the fixing the problem that belonging to the requirements and design coding. If the defect is not detected in the earlier but found in the acceptance testing, if the defects are not found while testing after the coding phase, but it is found in the acceptance testing. Acceptance testing means the user is using the user is using the particular software. So if there is any problem, if you are not audible, so you can interrupt me in the middle. So what happens if the defect is not detected earlier but found in the acceptance testing? In the acceptance testing, if the errors are found or further down the the line during the warranty, so it may be much more costly because now already the project is ready, the product is ready, and if you are getting the error, means it takes more time to do the reverse back, means to go back to the coding phase, to go back to the design phase, to make changes. So the cost will be more. So the defect removal cost would be 100 times more during the production, that is at the user side, than the before coding. Okay, so after the coding, the cost may increase the 10 times. So, but during the production, it is 100 times. The cost will be more. The cost will be more. Then, so this may also involve deploying the people at the customer side. The loss of goodwill means they have to spend more time, so which is also the failure to the cost. The cost may increase. So in the total, so this is the comparison, how comparison of big bang approach to the total quality management approach. Total quality management approach. So, so this is the triangle that is for the total quality management approach, where the if we find that defects in the early stages, the cost will be zero. But if the defects are arises in the later stages after the coding or during the in the production stage, if we get, then the cost will be more. The cost of the project will be more. Means they have to spend more time. The organization has to pay the salary to the employee, means extra time for the verification and all. So it's also famous. It's a cost triangle by the total quality management. If the organization has a very good processes defined, which are optimized and capable and can produce the consistent results again and again, then it gives the advantage in the productivity and effectiveness in the development. So if the good processes are defined and which are optimized and capable, good processes if they followed in the organization, and that gives the advantage in the productivity and the effectiveness. So organization, what they do, like the some process they follow, like for example, if they followed a standard process for the one of the project, they followed a process in the one of the project, and if this process, if it is successful, if it is cost benefit, if it is a successful process, success, okay, If it is successful, the process is successful, then they will they will follow such processes, the approach, the strategy, whatever they are used for this particular project, and it was, if it was a cost benefit, then what they do, the same process, the same process they will the same process they will apply for the same process they will apply for the different projects also, different projects, because this process is giving the benefit, cost benefit. This process, one of the process, this is giving a cost benefit to the for this particular project. So the company organization, what they do, the same process they will repeatedly they will apply for the other projects to get the advantage of the productivity and effectiveness. Just to consider in your placement process only. So last year, the students, they are gone, they are practiced so many problems in the different platforms. They attended the strategy was like, they attended so many practice tests and all in the department level, at the institutional level, and there was, after the test there was a discussion session. So they followed one strategy, and it worked, and from last 2 years, and the same strategy also we are applying for your batch, as we are arranging some sessions, like how to face the interview and all, so that gives some confidence to the students. So this is one of the approach, one of the strategy to motivate the student, to boost the students to appear for the interview. So in this is the one of the approach, this is the one approach. So in this approach, we are getting the result. So this is our the good process. This is our standard process. So that's why we are applying this process. If there is any change, if so we are making some changes also. If there is any, so such standard process will apply for the project for the productivity and effectiveness. So as the stages I already discussed, so the stage zero, stage one, stage two, stage three. What happens here? Stage zero, there may be a stage of maturity in an organization where no verification or validation is required to certify the product quality. The cost involved is zero. Means if we follow the standard processes, if we follow the standard processes, and if there is no any changes, there is no change is required, then we can say the cost involved is zero, because because here the verification, there is no verification and validation is required to certify the product quality, because the stage of maturity means the standard processors, well qualified team, they are doing the testing. Means so the management people, what they do, they will believe that they will believe the organization is not required any verification and validation. So the cost involved is zero, or the benefit derived by the investment process in the process definition, the investment in the process definition, optimization, and the deployment that make a quality free. So there is a famous saying, the quality is free. So theoretically, if the processes are optimized, so there is no need of verification and validation, as the defects are not produced at all. If we follow the standard processes, then there is no need of verification and validation. So just one example I can give for your preparation and all. So we some of the students now they are addicted to the this for placement preparation. You people are addicted to your hacker rank and hacker. Some people are seriously, you people are preparing. So still there are some defects are there. Some students, even there is no seriousness about, because for such people we need to take the follow. The faculty is taking the follow because of these defects. There are some students, they regularly they know what is the value of the job in the market, the job in the industry, how to get. So they know, and they seriously they will prepare. But there are some students are there, So student has to forcibly they have to make them to go for the to do practice and all. If there's standard process means everyone, if suppose if the student, if the faculty assigns any problem statement, the students will refer some other different roads, so resources, and they spend time on to solve the particular problem statement. So if the process is good, suppose if the student is not showing interest, then so that is the again the faculty has to spend more time to take the feedback and all. So no need of verification and validation and defects are means if we follow the process, if the process are optimized, if it is the standard process, then the cost is zero. Even if some defects are produced during any stage of the development in such a quality environment, then an organization may have very good verification processes which may detect the defects at the earliest possible stage and prevent defect pre-location. So there some of the defect that not arises in the early stages. So their defects may be arise in the later stages. So for that, the organization may have a good verification process. Verification, like we can consider in our like counseling process. Suppose if the students are not doing well, the faculty or the people they will do the counseling. It's like a counseling, very good verification process which may detect the defects at the earliest possible stage and prevent the defect pre-location. So there will be a small cost of verification and fixing. We need to spend some time to do the verification and fixing. So, but the stage contamination can be saved, which helps in finding and fixing the defects very fast. So here in the stage one, the we need to spend some time. So the cost is represented as 10. It is just it is on a standard triangle approach where the defects if they arise at the later stage, then the cost will be the 10 times higher, and if the uh, again the defects arise at the later stages at the production stage, the cost will be 100. So similar to that here also in in stage 2 also, if the defect that escapes the verification process, still there are capable validation processes for filtering the defects before the product goes to the customer. So for such to fix those errors, the cost will be increased. The cost of the to fix those errors, the cost will be increased. The cost is much higher, but till that the point of time, the defect has not reached to the customer. If the defects are reached to the customer, the cost again it will be more. So it may not affect all the customer. So the main goal is that we need to we need to fix the we need to fix the errors or defects as early as possible before delivering to the customers. So those who are joined late,